Everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So I've reviewed it all. State polls, national polls, battleground polls, cookie polls. There is such a thing, believe it or not. There's a cookie store that actually has Biden cookies and Trump cookies, and they figure out who's up in the polls by selling the cookies. Polling averages, you name it, I've looked at it. Here's what I've concluded. Here's what I know. Nothing. No one really knows what's going to happen tonight. No one knows what the hell is going on. And that's just the truth. Because in this country, for those of you watching from another country, you may not understand, we don't vote rationally, or we don't tally votes rationally, I should say. We don't go by the popular vote in this country. As most people know, in this country, you can win the ultimate adult participation trophy, and that is the Electoral College. So even if the vast majority of the country loathes you, thinks that you're completely repulsive and unfit for office, you can still win. I mean, that's what happened in 2016, right? So what I do know is that the Electoral College needs to go. It's antiquated. It no longer serves our country. It's no longer relevant with how our population has grown, and it needs to go. What we also need to do, and what I also know, is that we need to give DC and Puerto Rico the right to have representation. Okay, right now they pay taxes. Everyone in those two areas pay taxes, and yet they have no representation. So they are literally the definition of taxation without representation. And think about that. There are more than 3 million people in Puerto Rico, and yet they don't have a single US senator. Yet you have states like Wyoming that have less than 600,000 residents, and they have 2 state senators. It's unreal. It's unbelievable. And of course, Republicans are going to fight this. They've been trying to fight it because they know those 2 areas are more than likely to benefit Democrats. So they don't want them to have representation. Now, as far as tonight, most pundits and analysts are cautiously optimistic about Biden's chances. Here's the thing. I am too. I'm cautiously optimistic. He is up by quite a bit nationwide. He's up by a little bit in a lot of the areas that Trump needs to win to pull this off, as he did in 2016. Here's the thing. Whether Trump wins or loses, whether Biden is our new president or not, here's my plea to liberals. Liberals who I know, I love, some listen to the show, I'm friends with some of them personally. I'm begging of you, please, even if Biden wins, please reconsider your choices in the future. And please help the Democratic Party to become the party of the people. I honestly believe that if Democrats had run a true populist against this fake populist, we wouldn't be biting our nails right now. The polls wouldn't be so tight that it's essentially a jump ball at this moment. We have no idea. If they had run, especially a progressive candidate like Bernie Sanders, if he had won the nomination, his majoritarian views and policies would have excited even some of Trump's base to vote for him. I personally know people who are sitting it out today. They are not voting because Bernie's not on the ticket. I also know people, not personally, but I've seen people, I've heard people talk, who moved over to Trump because Bernie is not on the ticket. I mean, Joe Rogan, he has the most popular podcast. He was going to vote for Bernie. When Bernie failed to get the nomination, he announced that he's probably going to vote for Trump. He has a huge following. That was a huge mistake. Now, why? Why are Democrats in trouble if you guys don't help? So I'm appealing to your greed here. If you want to remain in power, if you truly want to avoid another shit show like the one we've experienced for the last 4 years, and all the stress and heartache and pain and suffering, then help, because no one has stepped in and stepped up to offer the people who voted for Trump what they need. They are in desperate need. No one has stepped up to offer an ongoing basic income, health care for everyone. No footsying around with this public option, but then you also have to pay for other policies. No. A living wage, relief from overwhelming debt. This is what people need. So here's the thing, and this is why I'm making this video and why I'm so nervous. I hear people that I love making comments and talking about who they would prefer on the ticket in 2024, whether Biden wins or not. And if they get their way, I'm telling you right now, without a doubt, we will face another Trump-like candidate, possibly even an actual Trump, maybe even Trump himself. If he loses and he manages to stay out of prison, he could run again in 2024. You have to move the country in a progressive direction. I know what they tell you. I know what the MSNBC pundits tell you. I know what the likes of James Carville would like for you to believe. I'm telling you, I am begging of you that you listen. They are out of touch. They live in a bubble of wealthy people who are fine, who have everything they need. They do not understand the suffering going on in this country. I am begging you. They were wrong in 2016 for a reason. I mean, James Carville has been wrong over and over and over again. I don't even know why people have him on anymore. But here's the thing, and this is what made me think about this. I was talking to a friend the other day, and he said that he hopes that in 4 years, whether Biden wins or not, that Kamala will run for president and Pete Buttigieg would be vice president. I almost threw up in my mouth. I'm not joking. Guys, oh my God, listen to me, I'm begging you. If you run another ticket like that, you will permanently repel progressives from the Democratic Party. I'm telling you right now, if that's your goal, if you want to run progressives out of the party, that is your ticket. That is the perfect ticket for 2024. And remember, you may be saying, well, I'm not a far left. I'm more of a moderate. I'm more of a centrist. I'm more of a liberal. I don't like all this far left stuff. Okay, keep this in mind though. You may have centrists and you may have some never Trump Republicans that are helping this time to carry Biden over the finish line. But as soon as a standard issue Bush-like Republican comes along and wags their little finger or bats his or her eyes, they're going to drop the Democratic Party like a billionaire whose wife just turned 30. I'm not joking. They will be gone. They will have no use for the Democratic Party at that point. And Many of the seniors who are helping to push Biden over the edge this time, many of them aren't going to be around. I mean, that's sad to say, but many of them are elderly. We still have a pandemic going on. They are not going to be around, a lot of them, in 2024. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind that this is the end of the line for most progressives. You may seriously need us in 2024. You do not want to spit in our faces. And most progressives I know will never, ever again capitulate to establishment Democrats and the likes of Pelosi and Schumer. This is it. We've given Democrats far too many chances over many, many years to get their shit together. And they need to realize they need to become the party of the people. They need to start appealing to, with policies, not rhetoric, not speeches, not kente cloth, but with policies. They need to start appealing to average Americans, not just the wealthy elites, not just suburban wine moms, but average working class Americans. Otherwise, they are going to be in trouble, and this is going to be headed for doom. So if liberals want to build a massive winning coalition, one that will easily beat Don Jr. or whatever equally repugnant candidate the Republicans put up in 4 years, you've got to listen. You need to start focusing on and voting based on policy and not just personality. And I was guilty of that too. So I'm not speaking down to you when I say that, because that's who I was. I get it. You're busy. You're busy with your life. You're working. You're taking care of kids. You're doing your thing. But you can't just believe these politicians. They are not who they say they are. So I'm begging you again to look into their history, okay? Progressives don't care how many flowery, platitude-filled speeches Pete Buttigieg gives. He's not going to win them over. We know who he is. We know what he's done. And we don't care about the gender or the color of skin of the new vice president. Buttigieg and Harris have always and will always be candidates that flip-flop on policy whenever it suits their political agenda. They care to appease their corporate donors. That's it. One way you can tell whether or not you're choosing a winning candidate and someone who is going to be good for the average American and appeal to working class Americans is ask yourself, are they loved or hated by Wall Street? Buttigieg and Harris are two of their favorites. That should tell you what you need to know, okay? That's a big clue. So I beg of you, put time into researching candidates. Research their policies, their agenda, what they've done in the past. Okay, I mean, I beg of you guys to not only look at what they've done and what they stand for and their positive traits, look at who they've hurt. Look at who they appeal to, but then also look at who they repel and who they hurt. And that's going to tell you a lot. There is a reason why Kamala Harris did not appeal to young Black voters, men and women. Okay, young voters in general, they're far more politically astute than you may think and you may give them credit for. They're not going to fall for a big smile, some mediocre line dancing, and someone who wears Timberlands. It's not going to cut it. They want real change, not kente cloth. They want policies that actually change their lives. So if Biden wins, go back to brunch get, get a few good nights sleep. Take a breather from Facebook and Twitter without having to check it every hour to see if World War III has started. But do not check out. I'm begging you, do not check out on politics, because if you do, and you do not help to push Biden and Harris to embrace populist policies that actually help average Americans, hear me when I say this, mark my words. We will be in this situation again. And it might be even worse. There is a lot of suffering out there. There's a lot of suffering in this country. And you know what? Shame on me for not recognizing that. Shame on me for not paying attention when Obama was in office. I selfishly thought that because my family was doing better, that was the case around the world, and it was not. And it's what allowed Trump to win in 2016. Now, is there a segment of his base that just loves his racist policies? Yes. But there's also a lot of his base that has been fed the lie that, look over there. Oh, squirrel, look over there. Black and brown people are the reason why you don't have a job, and the reason why you're not getting ahead. They need to see a better alternative. It's not good enough just to say Trump is bad and he's wrong and he's a horrible person. You need to give them something to vote for. By and large, people are desperate. People are hungry, literally. They need change. The most recent Gallup poll really tells this story. The number of Americans who are dissatisfied with our country and the direction of our country has hit a low. It hit 13% between May and August of this year, and it hasn't come up that much since then. That is the lowest it's been since the Great Depression. I believe it said that it was down to like 8% during the Great Depression. Not the Great Recession of Obama's time. I'm talking the Great Depression of like 100 years ago. So it's not working for people. And more young people, there was another poll that came out recently asking young people what they thought about our country and the direction of our country and whether or not they thought that, it was on the right track. And overwhelmingly, they said no. Overwhelmingly, it's not working for young people. They took a chance on Obama. They thought that he was truly going to be the president of hope and change. And they felt like he spit in their faces. And their chances of having a better life than us, than Gen X, people like myself or the boomers, that's gone. That ship has sailed. And they know that. Their chances of getting ahead, owning their own home by the time they're 30, as most of us did, they're not going to have that chance. Because instead of bailing out we the people, Obama chose to bail out the banks. And he left the rest of us hanging. And here's the thing. Trump has now highlighted, he has shown a light on every crack in our laws, in our guidelines, in our norms. And he's shown that they're inadequate to deal with a true sociopath with fascist tendencies. So the next Trump that comes along is going to know. They're not going to have to test the guardrails because Trump has already plowed through them. I'm telling you guys, the next populist, the next faux populist could be much worse. And that's why I'm begging you. I'm urging you. Put pressure on lawmakers now. Stay on top of Biden and Harris if they win, because you will not get another chance. A lot of people are throwing in, they're saying, okay, I'm going to give the Democrats one more chance. That's where I am. I'm going to give them one last chance, only because Trump is so horrific. But we're not going to keep getting kicked in the teeth. We're not going to keep getting fooled. So this is their last chance to show people that they can do something when given power. They're being given a final chance to show what they're made of. Because we gave them power in the midterms, and then Pelosi dragged her heels on impeachment. They didn't step up. They didn't stand up. They barely took Trump to task. There were so many things they could have done. They could have put people in jail, as the Republicans did, for refusing to testify. That was an option. That was within their power. The Republicans did it. They put a woman in jail for refusing to testify against Bill Clinton. But Democrats refuse to do that. They refuse to use the power they're given. And they do that to, again, appease their donors. They really, establishment Democrats are not much different than establishment Republicans. Please do your research. Understand that. Understand that the only reason we don't have Medicare for all is because they get money from Big Pharma and the insurance companies. Understand that the reason that they don't take bigger action, bold action on climate change is because so many of them, and a lot of Republicans mostly, get so much money from big oil. It has to change. It has to change. And if Democrats don't step up and make that change, if they take back, especially the presidency and the Senate, and retain the House, this is it. People will not be fooled again. If Biden continues with Obama-era politics, appeasing the wealthy, the big banks, lining the pockets of the military-industrial complex, Democrats will be setting themselves up for a Republican takeover of every branch of government. They've already got control of our judicial system. And progressives will never again vote with the Democrats. And the party will be splintered. It will forever be splintered, and there won't be enough votes to win against Republicans. So for some, it's already too late. So I'm begging of you, stay on the ball, keep paying attention, pressure your lawmakers, pressure Biden and Harris. We can do this if we come together. But if you allow the centrists, if you allow the establishment to push the party further to the right and get in bed with these never Trumpers like the guys from the Lincoln Project, I'm telling you, it's not going to end well. So let's hope to God, guys, praying that Trump loses today. As always, like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Take care, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching Plants and Politics. The only way to take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks again.